Hello everyone, welcome to and we're back from another Mixed Sports Show presented by the BJ Show. Let's get it underway. So in this intro, welcome back to as the AFL Mix Show. We continue on what we'll be sharing for the AFL Mix Show. That's right, we'll be sharing AFL Round 2 reviews into round 3 previews. Each game, we're going to break it down. Let's drive straight into it. Here we go. Oh, you can see right on your head, the Hawks is on the left. The right is the Swans. You got it. That's what we do. We kick off round 2 with Thursday night football at the MCG, where the 47,000 plus, just under 48,000 on the 9:45. Then hacked the MCG, showed up what could be one between the interesting games of the round, I could say. Hawthorn Hawks and the Sydney Swans. It was a sold crowd, but honestly, it was probably could have been a tighter, a bit bigger for a Thursday night blockbuster. So this game had plenty of drama. That's right. Early on, it was tight in the contest. The first half was extremely close, with both teams trailing the men. It felt like it was either side could take control at any moment. Sydney looked very sharp going forward and kicking accuracy, making the most of that opportunity. On the other hand, Hawthorn they had chance, but missing some reliable, easy goal, which kept the Swans in front during the key moments. After half-time, Sydney lived around that ball, and their midfield really stepped up. Missing big stars really cost them the game, winning crucial contests and getting the ball forward quickly, which helped them ball and build pressure on Hawthorn. But Hawthorn never backed down. This is why they just keep pushing. They stay in the contest. That's what teams play smart. 4 quarters of football. So you never give up. Give themselves every opportunity to fight back in the game, and they came the final quarter. And that's exactly what Hawthorn did, where Hawthorn really stood up. They took their chances, starting to create the opposition teams in front of goal, but build the momentum they needed. Not that did they kick important goals. They added a few closer behinds to help strengthen the margin and steal the win. Now at the end of the Hawthorn margin, get the job done, close and out strong victory over Sydney in front of the MCG crowd and pack of the Hawks. Really, the crowd stepped up in a big way. And a great effort to the Hawks, really never gave up. A strong finish when it most matters. Well done, Hawthorn. Sydney heads up. Alright, what a game we got for Friday night football. We'll share that in just a moment. To let me know in the comments what you thought about this game. Don't forget to subscribe. There's AFL more matches to come. Let's now swoop on to Friday night. That's it. Now you can see, this is going to be a bit of the game of the round. I went to this game where it was 49,185. I know, because that is the biggest crowd you can almost get for home and away for the LA Crows. That is effort. And that's what we have. LA Crows versus the Western Bulldogs Adelaide Oval. What a game this was. And I gotta say, Adelaide Oval is the place to play footy in the non-state, in the AFL, in today's modern football. In my opinion, Adelaide is the second home of football. So we continue. The Essendon was incredible. And I just mentioned the crowd, 49,185. What a guess that was, because I knew, because I was there. Almost a full house. Adelaide Oval always delivers a great environment. And that's why I meant the Gutter Round is coming. It gathers 18 teams, 9 games, festival football. They do it big here in Adelaide, South Australia. It's amazing. And no matter what difference it is. So going into the game, I was really hoping the LA Crows hold on and defeat the Western Bulldogs, but it's going to be playing at home in front of their fans. But the Bulldogs had other plans. They had other plans. So before I get into that, congratulations to John O'Buck. Now, this is a big one. After so many seasons he's played as a key defender, he's had 2 opportunities to kick goal. He kicked 1.1. That's a pretty good effort. Now, I think he played an impressive defence role, but that goal really matters to him, and a lot of Lifter fans got the job done. To their credit, Western Bulldogs never gave up. They started well and fought hard right until the final zone to keep the pressure on the Crows throughout the match. I actually attended to this game, as I mentioned, with a friend, and over a really good experience, as I always enjoy watching a game of footy at the Adelaide Oval. There were some great moments during the night. Alright, not everything went Adelaide's way, and that's football, unfortunately, and the Western Bulldogs managed to hold on to 6 points in a hard-fought contest. One of the biggest highlights of the night, special moments, Adelaide defender mentioned Jordan Butts, the key that found himself forward and managed to kick his first AFL goal. Congratulations, that is a fantastic moment and definitely one of the crowd's enjoyment. So, depending on the result, it was still a memorable highlight for the Crows and their fans, including myself. Well done to the Bulldogs. You're better on the night, holding on that win. Adelaide heads up. It's season's only 2 games in the season already. You know, beat the team you haven't bet for like 12 years, and the Bulldogs are 50-50 chances. This was a 50-50 chance. Adelaide were favourites, but Dogs just hold on. So, Saturday football, here we are. Here we go. And you can see right now you got a Tigers and a Sun on your screen. Guess what we are? The first Saturday afternoon review, that's it. We're here for the Richmond Tigers versus the Gold Coast Suns MCG. We had 2 first Saturday afternoon footy for the round. Return back to the MCG where the Richmond Tigers taking on the Gold Coast Suns. The crowd was 30,468 to be honest. This should be looked pretty empty. While I was watching the reviews and watching a bit of the highlights, attending the game was almost feels like it could have been played at Marble Stadium instead, and Richmond could have won that game. Because the last time this met, Richmond took on Gold Coast and took the win. So, but unfortunately, Gold Coast had other plans and took a very strong win. So, now on to the game itself. Richmond actually started alright. A solid half, showing plenty of effort and real competitiveness. They know this game isn't going to be easy, much against a Gold Coast side that continues to improve. But as a game went on, the Gold Coast Suns that stepped up. There were 7 moments where both teams, they challenged, and the game was also saw injuries impact both sides, which added another layer of differences throughout that match. In the end, throughout, Gold Coast was simply too strong, coming away with the win over Richmond. From this game, a key way outstanding one is Gold Coast started to show growth as a competitive side, which we have seen. Richmond are searching for competitor across all 4 quarters, never giving up. It's a muddy year. They will be on that bottom half, but they're going to stay in the contest. They're young side as well. Pressure and midfield control provide dispatches in the contest. Overall, a strong performance from the Suns, an impressive result as they continue to bend momentum season. This season from the Gold Coast Suns. On to now the Giants and the Saints, or GWS Giants versus St Kilda. That's where we are at NGIE Stadium. That is it. So, just breaking, we head to the Western Sydney. Now that is the second Sunday afternoon game of the round. The GWS Giants hosting the St Kilda at the NGIE Stadium, as I mentioned before. Now, before I get in, unfortunately, this game was delayed due to a lightning due to the rules of this game of the AFL, has to be a 20-minute delay if it's due to a lightning situation. For some years, even maybe a long time, we don't see lightning very much. So continue on to this crowd was just over 9,149 with a small crowd. One of the positive reasons for this, the game was delayed to start off the match, which may not affect attendance. It was overall to build up the game. Depends on its turn out of the very close and contests. But both teams, they had their movement throughout the game. There was the Giants creating opportunities and putting themselves in a position where they could take control of this match. But St Kilda stayed in the contest. They keep fighting. At the end, the Saints managed to hold on a 4 point. That's it. Defeated the Giants. As mentioned, 4 points, securing this win with their first win for the season and taking the 4 premiership point. It was a big moment for St Kilda, who will be pleased they finally get their first win on the board. From the Giants' point of view, preparing, they will be disappointed knowing that it's a hard, real chance to win the game in front of their fans as well. But it's just couldn't, quote, to get the job done in final moments. Still plenty to build on forward. Congratulations St Kilda on the win. Bad luck to Giants always next week as they bounce back. Well, next week. Alright, on to the next game. And that's where we are, Saturday night football in the first one for the season at Optus Stadium, while we had the Adelaide Oval, the Crows and the Bulldogs in Game 2 on the Friday night. Now, this was never going to be a close game, but that's it. That's where we are. It's the Doggers and the Demons at Optus Stadium, the first game for the season 2026. We moved to Saturday night footy in Perth at Optus Stadium. This is where we play. Fremantle Dockers host Melbourne Demons. The Fremantle first home game for the season, and this is the big question heading into this match. Could the Dockers bounce back and get their first win for the year, or would Melbourne travel to West? Still a win on the road, which is never easy thing to do in Perth. Fremantle were coming off a tough loss against Geelong in Geelong, but many people expect that respond strongly at home, which is a very true factor. And what they did, the Dockers provided a big win over Melbourne, showing strong pressure, good ball movement, and plenty of confidence throughout the game. It was a performance that showed Fremantle are ready to complete strong this season. After the opening loss, it was an important response from the Dockers. They bounced back in front of their home fans for the first time, heading to Fremantle as they look very impressed this season. And this could be one of the strongest Fremantle teams we have seen in a long time. As for Melbourne, it wasn't their night. It was a good win against St Kilda MCG. Now they will be Rab Group and get back on the track for next week against Carl. Alright, next game please. Congratulations on Fremantle on the win in front of the supporters, and we'll see both teams' response as heading into the next round. Alright, Sunday afternoon 40 back to the Adelaide Oval. And that's exactly where we are. Our Port Adelaide's first home game for the season, hosting the Essendon Bombers. And that is it. The second time. Now, this is unusual to see both interstate teams playing at their home ground, Adelaide Oval, and at Optus Stadium. And this is the effort early in the round. As I mentioned, Adelaide hosts the game between the Adelaide Crows and Western Bulldogs. It's now Port Adelaide's turn to take their first home game for the season, taking on Essendon. It was 36,049, which it was a solid turnout at Adelaide Oval and create some good atmosphere as well for this match. The game itself had a slow start, with both teams feeling like the way in the contest, scoring was limited early, but it was after quarter time, opened up and we started to see more goals kick. Coming into this match, Port Adelaide will come back to bounce after they lost to North Melbourne, and that's exactly what they did. That is mainly common from Port Adelaide. They do bounce back from a very heavy loss, but exactly what they did. They lift. Port Adelaide exactly showed up against Essendon after the loss against North Melbourne, and they exactly well done was that. Essendon, credit effort after that loss against Hawthorn, a bit better against Port Adelaide, had their moments, even winning a quarter. That's really had the opportunities, but couldn't manage to hold on throughout the game. They had control at moments at times, but unfortunately, Port Adelaide were far a little too stronger. Overall, the important Port Adelaide to bounce back in front of their fans, while Essendon will regroup and focus on next week. Let me know in the comments down below. I will see you in the next AFL match, and that is exactly where we're going to, the last game for the round. And boy, I really think this could be the game of the round. The game of the round, that West Coast Eagles' first home game, the second at Optus Stadium. We just had the Fremantle Melbourne game on Saturday Night Football. Now we're back. We've returned to this game, and I think this is going to be a big congratulations. I'll be sharing that in just a moment. I tipped North Melbourne. I thought they will have super confidence. West Coast will bounce back in front of their supporters, but how much is a win for them? Now, both teams coming off different results. One's against Gold Coast, which is West Coast. North Melbourne in front of their supporters against Port Adelaide. Now, how much while we had West Coast satisfy the heavy loss against Gold Coast? They're going to bounce back, but how much is a bounce back? West Coast had a chance to respond, and they did. They have 47,083. They've always had a good, strong turnout, and they've always had that great support for the Eagles. They've done that for years. Even during their difficult times, they will still have 45,000, under 50,000 for the season, and they did. That's what a true crowd should do, and they've done it perfectly. Now, though, before I get deeply into this next statement, I would like to say to the number one draft pick, William Dersma, kicking his first AFL goal for the West Coast Eagles. A well-deserved. He's a good size, and he's going to look very exciting in 26, and absolutely going to dominate this season for the West Coast Eagles. Now, they do take on Port Adelaide. How much West Coast have confidence? They have confidence, and it's going to be a good game actually, but North Melbourne actually started this game well, really putting on the early pressure on West Coast and showing some good signs. As the game went on, West Coast lived there intensely and take control of the game. And what's their control? One notification and feature of this match was the scoring, was more than goals than behind. That's pretty well accurate, which help keep the scoreboard moving and the game in the taming. For West Coast, this win meant a lot. I know it's early in the season, not only their first win for the season, but it also comes in front of their home supporters, which had been waiting in such a long time. Celebrate a victory at Optus Stadium, double win at Optus Stadium. The both Western Australian teams get their first wins, and we don't see that very often, but unusual for Adelaide. Adelaide won at home. Both South Australian and Western Australian teams actually caught the win, so pretty happy with that. But it was a strong response after that heavy loss for West Coast. Great moments for the team and fans. North Melbourne, heads up, always next week. We know you'll bounce back. You're still a good team, as respectful. Congratulations, West Coast, North Melbourne. It's always be regroup, bounce back next week. Alright, let's wrap this up to round 3 preview. Alright, this is where I'm going to drive into it. You can see, I think this is going to be a really tough game for Thursday Night Football. The LA Crows will bounce back. They'll bounce back well. And we do start at GMHBA. Geelong hosting the LA Crows. Tough game. Well, Geelong will be fresh after that week off. Adelaide will be looking to bounce back after the loss to Western Bulldogs. And this should be a competitive game. I think it'll be a very close game. And Adelaide closed by 5 points. On to Friday night football. This is going to be interesting. I can see what on my screen. We're back in Melbourne at Marble Stadium. Collingwood will be coming off a fresh off. Ginats coming off a 4-point loss after that lightning delayed. I think Collingwood, that's right, after they lost against the Adelaide Coast Collingwood, they'll be bounced back after that fresh leg. They'll be ready and fired up for Collingwood. So Collingwood, I am backing for this game. Next game, we have the first Saturday afternoon. And we have the St Kilda and Brisbane Lions at Marble Stadium back to return for that back-to-back games. Now, this could be anyone. It's a tough game to pick. Really recently that St Kilda get their first win for the season while Brisbane is yet and be fresh and ready to go. Now, I'm saying a very close game and I'm saying Brisbane for this game. Next one. We go to Perth once again. We have Fremantle and Richmond go head-to-head. Not much to say. Richmond try hard against the Gold Coast Suns at the MCG last week in round 2, while Fremantle are coming off a big win over Melbourne at home. But Fremantle are still at home, building momentum on Team Fremantle with this game. Next game, we are returned back to Marble Stadium and return to Melbourne. Essendon versus North Melbourne. North Melbourne were coming off and respond in the West. I think against West Coast. Wow. While Essendon, well, they had challenges against Port Adelaide. They had good moments during the game last week. But all about, I am backing up with North Melbourne to take their win to a victory. So, will Essendon get their first win, or is North Melbourne can bounce back? But I take North Melbourne to win this match. No, it's only in the close one. Alright. On to that Sunday afternoon, we turn to Adelaide Oval, the Port Adelaide home game, the second one for this season. West Coast on the road from West Australia to Adelaide. Big road trip to take on Port Adelaide. Now, this is the second home game for Port Adelaide as well. Second road trip for the West Coast Eagles from Gold Coast and Adelaide. So, big road trip as well. Now, West Coast, a big win. They'll have confidence after that big win. I think they look very sharp, but Port Adelaide will have their supporters back on home. I hope there'll be a 45,000 plus at the Adelaide Oval. I'm sticking to Port Adelaide to win at home and should be a great match to watch. Now we come to the final game for the round, and boy, this is the second week for bye, so there's 14s in my mind not play. MCG, the phony game for the round. And we have, it's Kilda and Melbourne go head to head. Now, could be anyone's. Can't be fresh, ready to go. Melbourne, after that loss, learned some losses after in Perth against Freo. But this should be a good game, and I'm backing up Melbourne to win this match. And there you go. They are all my round 3 tips and restrictions. Let me know their tips and comment down below. And you'll be most expected for this weekend. Should be exciting as well. Alright. And that's the wrap. We're done for another episode here of the Mixed Sports Show for the AFL. These were my round 3 restrictions for my tips and for the upcoming game. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of my tips and restrictions and all that. Also, share your own. Love to hear. It's interesting to see how games will play out this weekend. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Much appreciated. Next week on the channel, bring round 3 match reviews as I'll be doing this episode from 2 to 3. I will also go into head round 4 weeks later. Where's the season going so far? And we'll share my reviews and restrictions as I've been doing. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next week. Thank you all. BJ Show's out. Peace.